Mike hasn't demonstrated mastery, even in his own domain, let alone anyone else's.
This video will critically analyze Jeff Nippod's reaction to the situation.
Release the Nipstein rap video.
Wait a minute, get it how you live it.
Jeff Nippod, Jeff Nippod,
Yeah.
Trendsetter, Jeff Nippod,
Yeah.
Science-based lifter, Jeff Nippod.
Yeah.
Mike Israetel, Jeff Nippod, Lane Norton. In recent weeks, we've seen an academic carnage in the fitness community. Solomon Nelson, an attorney advocating for science and honesty, revealed the truth about Mike Israetel's lack of rigor in his doctoral thesis and the hypocrisy of the biggest fitness gurus who defended Mike by trying to sink Solomon Nelson's image, selling him as a hater eager for fame and YouTube views. Solomon Nelson's criticism was well-founded and had all the rigor that Mike Israetel's doctoral thesis lacked. As is often the case, Greg Doucette, acting as a crusading knight, saw an opportunity to generate countless views covering the controversy related to Mike and Jeff Nippod, creating contention and accusing these influencers of not basing their content on science or using science at their whim to generate views and millions of dollars in sales. To the dozens of videos Greg has made about this controversy, we must add an interview he conducted with Solomon Nelson himself, surely hoping that Solomon's fierce criticism would never splash onto him, and so far his strategy has worked quite well. In this video, I'm not going to talk about doctoral thesis or calculation errors. No, I'm going to talk about a supplement that is being sold as much better than creatine by the crusading knight of fitness. The biggest scam in the fitness community could come from Greg Doucette and the sale of Turkesterone. If you stay until the end of the video, I will show you how this professional snake oil salesman, dressed up as a crusading knight, has been spewing lies everywhere with the sole purpose of becoming a millionaire by selling the largest number of Turkesterone bottles possible. In this channel, we demand truth and security, and I apply that same demand to my digital life. And if there's one place where privacy is compromised, is the internet. I don't leave my information to chance. That's why I use and trust CyberGhost VPN. A VPN is an essential tool that encrypts your connection and guarantees that everything you do is private. CyberGhost isn't just security. I, for example, use it to access HBO and Netflix series that aren't available in my country. They have optimized servers dedicated specifically for streaming and gaming. You will be able to unlock more than 40 different streaming services. What gives me the most confidence is that CyberGhost has over 8,000 servers in more than 100 countries, giving you enormous global coverage. But the crucial part is the security. They use military-grade encryption and have a strict no-logs policy, so your activity is never stored. If you're looking for the best protection at the best price, their long-term plans are super affordable, starting at just over €2 a month, and you can also use up to 7 devices at once. It's no wonder the CyberGhost has over 38 million users and an excellent rating on Trustpilot, with more than 23,000 reviews. And if, for whatever reason, you're not 100% happy with the service, you have a 45-day money-back guarantee. Click the link in the description to get an exclusive offer and several free months. Turkesterone belongs to a class of compounds called ecdysteroids. In insects, ecdysteroids are hormones that control molting and metamorphosis. In plants, they are defense substances that protect them from being eaten by those insects. Over the years, it has been rumored in the fitness community, even before the existence of YouTube, that ecdysteroids act in the human body with an anabolic effect, similar to that of steroids, increasing strength and muscle mass, but without being androgenic steroids, that is, without the unwanted side effects of those substances. Preliminary in vitro studies and studies in rats suggest that ecdysteroids could stimulate muscle growth by binding to the estrogen receptor beta or by activating calcium signaling pathways. While this action seems potent in laboratory tests, the key question for Greg Doucette, for us and for the WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, which already monitors ecdysteroids, is whether this potency translates effectively into serious and conclusive studies in human beings. First, we have to talk about a double-blind placebo-controlled study published in 2006 that examined 45 men who performed resistance training, who ingested 200 milligrams daily of ecdysterone, 800 milligrams daily of methoxyflavone, or a placebo for 8 weeks. The purpose was to determine whether these supplements improve strength, body composition, or anabolic and catabolic hormone markers. The results showed no significant difference between the ecdysterone group and the placebo group. There were no improvements in fat-free mass, body fat percentage, maximum strength in bench press or leg press, nor were there any changes observed in active testosterone, free testosterone, or cortisol levels. The authors concluded that ecdysterone supplementation does not affect training adaptations, body composition, nor does it influence the anabolic and catabolic hormone status in men with gym experience. Now we have to discuss a 2015 study that analyzed the anabolic power of ecdysterone by comparing it with different anabolic steroids. The results of this study were surprising. In rats, ecdysterone showed a hypertrophic effect on muscle fibers that was even stronger than Dianabol or Trembalox when administered at the same dose. Similarly, in muscle cells, ecdysterone increased the fiber size comparably to hormones like IGF-1 or DHT. The researchers concluded that this impressive anabolic activity is mediated by binding to a beta-estrogen receptor, and they suggested that ecdysterone should be considered for the wider list of prohibited substances. This is a study that generated all the hype about ecdysterone and was the precursor of the first turkesterone products sold by Derek for more plates, more dates. However, as you can see, this was a study conducted on rats, not on humans. Now we have to talk about one of the first studies on the Yucca turkestanica plant, from which turkesterone is extracted. In this 2015 study, researchers analyzed a fraction of the plant that contained approximately 70% turkesterone. After analyzing the plant with advanced techniques like chromatography and mass spectrometry, the researchers concluded that the Yucca turkestanica extract sold as turkesterone is actually a complex mixture containing many different ecdysteroids, with turkesterone and ecdysterone being the most abundant. This is truly interesting because in June of 2022, after conducting these same tests on different turkesterone products sold by Greg and More Plates, More Dates, among others, it was discovered that the products contained practically no turkesterone. They were actually ecdysterone products. Following this scandal, Greg decided to change the name of his turkesterone product from Turk Builder to Ecdy Builder, and went on to explain to his audience that even though his supplement did not contain turkesterone, all the testimonials from people who had achieved spectacular results with this supplement were proof that Ecdy Builder worked. What's more, he went on to support the idea that, as there was more evidence regarding ecdysterone, this was a more interesting supplement than turkesterone.
The most important ingredient of all, the one that actually has human studies on it, that's right, turkesterone, not human studies. Turkesterone has not been something that's been researched by human trials. We don't know that turkesterone actually worked.
Now we have to talk about another 2019 study that investigated the effects of ecdysterone on athletic performance. This study analyzed 46 young men for 10 weeks and found that the participants who used ecdysterone showed significantly greater increases in muscle mass compared to the control group. A significantly greater increase in maximum strength in the subjects' bench press who used ecdysterone was also observed. Furthermore, laboratory tests did not detect signs of liver or kidney toxicity from the use of ecdysterone. The authors of the study concluded that the data from this study strongly support the inclusion of ecdysterone on the wider list of prohibited substances. Once again, this is one of the studies used to create hype around turkesterone, and curiously, once again, it is a study that analyzes ecdysterone and not turkesterone. And now it's finally time to talk about a 2024 study that does analyze the effects of turkesterone on humans. The objective of this study was to see if turkesterone increases the IGF-1 or resting metabolic rate in the short term. This study, which analyzed 11 healthy men, found no significant effect on any of the markers analyzed, indicating that there is no potent or immediate anabolic effect. However, although not a statistically significant, IGF-1 and resting metabolic rate remained slightly elevated compared to placebo. The authors concluded that While this data fails to support testosterone as a potent anabolic supplement, it suggests it is well tolerated, and more long-term research is needed to completely rule out its ergogenic effects. Something very similar is concluded by a 2024 review, which suggests that although some studies carried out on steroids are promising, more quality human studies are needed to support the effectiveness of these substances. Finally, we have a double-blind, placebo-controlled randomized study published in 2025 that analyzed 24 healthy adults for 4 weeks. This study concluded that there is no evidence that testosterone has any impact on body composition, hand grip strength, mood, or sleep quality. As you can see, most of the studies have analyzed the effectiveness of testosterone, and the results have been very mixed and certainly not definitive. And the only study that analyzed turkesterone revealed that it has no impact on either IGF-1 or resting metabolic rate. Therefore, in no way can we affirm that testosterone or turkesterone are effective in increasing muscle mass and strength, much less affirm that either of these supplements is more effective than creatine, when there is not a single study that compares the effects of both supplements.
This supplement, far more effective than creatine. There is no way creatine is even close to as good as this. Not even close. 1 pill a day, guaranteed, I'm telling you, it's better than creatine.
Having millions of followers should mean that one has an enormous responsibility to offer quality, truthful information that is useful to people. However, the vast majority of fitness influencers use the followers solely and exclusively to get rich at their expense.
The human trials actually are on 20-HE and ecdysteroid. And so if you've purchased Turk Builder in the past, we're going to continue to sell it because I do believe it actually works. If you want turkesterone, do not buy Turk Builder. At one point, we called our supplement Turk Builder, but since then, we changed the name to Ecdy Builder to better reflect what was in the package.
Greg Doucette's hypocrisy knows no bounds. After all the uproar caused by the fact that his testosterone product did not contain any testosterone, and moving on to endorse the benefits of testosterone, he went back to selling a testosterone product, this time guaranteeing that his product did actually contain testosterone, unlike the competitor supplements, focusing on the Gorilla Mind supplement, to which he dedicated several videos.
Why didn't you test for the turkesterone and the ecdysterone?
So where do you stand, Greg? Is testosterone or testosterone better? Or does it depend on which one you can sell at any given moment? Furthermore, if you have changed your mind now, what is your basis for doing so? Because certainly you haven't done so based on science, and everything suggests that you did it based on your wallet, because it was more productive for your business to differentiate yourself from the competition by supposedly being the only seller who sells real testosterone products.
Turk Builder, the only one I can recommend. And so the first time I used it, I'm skeptical. I'm like, yeah, Ecdy Builder, that actually works. Am I actually going to notice the difference from Ecdy Builder to Turk Builder? Am I going to see an actual increase in size, strength, aggression, and so on? And the answer was yes.
Here's my message to Solomon Nelson. If you really want to be an objective person based on data and evidence, just like your former client Jeff Nippod, you should talk about Greg Doucette and Derek for More Plates, More Dates, and what is possibly the biggest scam in the fitness world, testosterone supplements. Otherwise, you will be just one more within this toxic community whose principles become corrupted by success as you gain popularity. And who knows, maybe you should also talk about Greg Doucette's natural friend.
I no longer believe that turkesterone is what's been fueling your progress all along with Turk Builder.
By the way, remember the CyberGhost offers you military-grade security, access to Netflix and HBO from other countries, and a no-logs policy. Click the link in the description and secure your internet today. And if you want to know why classic actors look so much older than current actors, you have to watch this video.